What a wild day. It was not only a wild day today, but it was a pretty wild weekend. We're going to talk about it, and I can't wait to get live here at this special hour. Glad so many of you are jumping on with us. But one thing you can do is you can subscribe, you can like, and of course, you can leave a comment. That's what tonight is about. That's why we like to go live at least once a week and share our thoughts on what is basically an immediate reaction to the Indianapolis Colts and their loss. I'm very disappointed. This was a game the Colts had every opportunity to win, and if it wasn't for Adonai Mitchell, I think the Colts would have won. But boy, oh boy, just no excuses for that. I mean, we saw Jonathan Taylor do it a year ago, and now you see A.D. Mitchell do it, drop the football before he crosses the plane, and ends up giving the ball up with no points on the board. And then I didn't like, now I know I've got some people that have different opinions, but I did not like the fact that the Colts played it conservative on third down late in the football game when they were up by 4. They were 17-13. I thought, this is your chance. You've got the football. Had forced a turnover and had a chance to go up by 2 scores. Didn't do it. They settled for the field goal. They played for the field goal because they just handed the ball off. And I thought they could have been more aggressive. I'm like, you know what? Trust Daniel Jones. He's delivered for you plenty of times. You've got a couple of receivers that can go downfield and make plays for you. Give it a shot, because a 2-score lead at that point in the football game almost puts the game away, where 3 points doesn't change the complexion of the game. All it means is that the Rams still need a touchdown, and they couldn't use a field goal before that kick, and they couldn't use a field goal after that kick. It was a 4-point game. So the Rams were going to have to play for a touchdown anyway. You didn't change anything. The Rams were still playing for a touchdown. All the touchdown would have done was tied the score if you get the field goal. But it wasn't fourth down. It wasn't going for it on fourth down. It was being a little more aggressive on third down, trying to get perhaps a score that could be the dagger instead of trying to play it safe, take some points, and keep it as a game that really didn't change much when you kick the field goal. It's still a 7-point game. Now, if it puts you up by 9 or 10, then you totally change the game, and I'm all for it. Or if you're out of field goal range and you need to get 4 or 5 yards on that play to get into field goal range, I'm all for it. But if you're already established in field goal range, so an incomplete pass isn't going to take you out of field goal range, you'll still have your shot to add 3 points. I say go for it in that situation. Don't play it so safe. Don't play it so soft. And then I even commented to somebody that I was texting with during the game, as soon as the Colts scored to go up 20-13, I said, well, last year the Colts would have basically given up on the next possession. They would have given up a length of the field touchdown drive to tie the game. That's just the way the Colts were last year. They could play great defense when they had to play defense, but as soon as the team gave them a chance to have some margin for error, they erred. And what happens? The Rams go the length of the field and score. 2 players that have to be off this football team. The Colts have to find upgrades, and we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about an exciting win for the Indiana Fever today. They have unbelievably forced another trip to Las Vegas. And it is a deciding Game 5 coming up Tuesday night, where now the pressure shifts, much like it did in the Atlanta series. Pressure shifts to Vegas, because nobody's going to feel good about losing to this group of Indiana Fever. It's not Caitlin Clark-led. It's not Aaliyah Boston-led. And don't be fooled by the stats, okay? I watched a good portion of that game today. Aaliyah Boston is not the reason the Fever in this position. And I know statistically she had a pretty big day today, but she still misses too many layups. She still has balls go off her fingers. She misses key shots. I mean, it just, I feel about Aaliyah Boston like I felt about Miles Turner when he was a Pacer, that they're one of those players that's just too good to give up, but they're not good enough to win you a championship. I hope they prove me wrong. Really do. So let's go ahead and bring in Adam Lundy, who's going to join us here. Up on the show, we're going to be joined by Dylan Sin a little bit later on. But Adam, tell you what, this has been one hell of a sports weekend this weekend. There's been all kinds of. I had the remote working 3 channels at once at one point this afternoon.
Yeah, a lot to talk about, and it's hard to choose where to start too. You mentioned the fever. I mean, there's a lot to talk about from today's Colts game, a game that like you said, they should have won tonight's game against the LA Rams, but just too many mistakes. As Ryan, who I know is listening on our YouTube stream, he said too many penalties. That's definitely one of the things that the Colts need to tidy up. I had a bad feeling about this game. I mean, I had a feeling that the Colts could win going in, but to have that turnover by Daniel Jones on the first drive of the Colts for the game, that was a little bit of a wary start. But they did all they could to, they weren't outclassed at any point in this game. They just did their best, and they had led throughout a good portion of the game, and they kind of just let it slip away with very careless mistakes by JT and AD Mitchell. So yeah.
It's interesting because almost every team in the NFL, it is very tough to win 4 straight weeks, get to 4-0. And for the Indianapolis Colts, they don't have a huge margin for error because it's a good football team. I don't call them a great football team. I say they're a very good football team. And if they're playing well and executing, staying disciplined, they've got a chance to compete in any game they play. But if they make those mistakes, I don't know they're good enough to overcome too many of them. And today they just made too many of them. Now, 2 players that I've had enough of. AD Mitchell. You cannot have that happen. You have not even scored a touchdown in your professional career, and you have got an easy one. And what is it about football players that get careless with the football when they get near the goal line? It is ridiculous. There is no excuse. This is a touchdown that would have been a go-ahead touchdown. It would have been his first career touchdown. And he starts playing with the ball, and of course it slips right out of the glove, which the glove I think is intended to give you a better grip, and instead it just slides right through the glove, drops to the turf, clearly was not at the goal line. You could tell in real time it wasn't close. Now, Jonathan Taylor's from a year ago. I still think Jonathan Taylor got across the goal line with possession. I know he was in the process of releasing it, but I still thought he had enough possession. They should have given him that touchdown. This was not close. This was a boneheaded mistake, and it's a guy who, to me, hasn't done enough to earn a spot on this roster to overcome what he did today. That's an inexcusable mistake that should cost you a spot on an NFL roster. Now, what do you do with him? Do you release him? Can you move him to the practice squad? I don't know what the options exactly are for the Colts. I don't think there's any value in trade. I think basically you waive or release him, or you send him to the practice squad to teach him a lesson. Now, that's what I would prefer. I just don't know exactly what the collective bargaining agreement has in place for any kind of protection for somebody who makes the 53 man at the beginning of the season. Can the Colts demote him to the practice squad? I think the only thing they can do it, but I do think it exposes him to being available to other teams, and then it's up to him whether he wants to go to the practice squad and try to earn his way back onto the roster. Because here's the thing. He's got some raw talent, but you can't be that stupid and get away with it. You cannot cost your team a football game. And he did it not once, but twice. Because then later, a stupid holding penalty. What is he thinking? He reached out and threw a guy to the ground. That wasn't even a block. Got called for it. Jonathan Taylor takes it all the way to the house, and it's got to come back. And again, the Colts have to figure out a way to score points. AD Mitchell, you got to go. And
yeah,
now, and what do you do with that spot, Adam? What do you? I mean, you're down Alec Pierce because of the concussion. You got to find somebody.
Do you just hope Pierce comes back and just sign somebody for from the practice squad up to the main roster? Apparently, if you read our comments, Jim A said he should be replaced by Mecole Hardman. I don't know about that, but Definitely not something. I mean, he cost you 14 points basically in a 7-point loss.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable.
Yeah. And then the Colts have to, the experiment with Xavier Howard has got to end.
Not a good cornerback.
He can't cover anything.
No, he got exposed by Puka Nacua, by everybody multiple times.
Okay, but here's the thing, and I wish I could take a tape and put it on the screen, and we can't because NFL properties, copyrights, all that stuff. But if you get a chance to see it somewhere on social media, the screenplay right before the touchdown that the Rams scored to tie it up, they ran a little screenplay on 3rd and long. It was like 3rd and 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever they had. And they ran the little quick screen onto the left side. That's Howard's side of the field, and he stood and watched the play. If you watch the replay, watch what he does. He kind of backs up, stands next to a Ram who doesn't even have to block him because he's making no effort to get involved with the play. He's got 3 teammates trying like heck to avoid blocks to try to make a play, and he doesn't even do, I mean, he does nothing. He stays away from all physical contact, doesn't try to get in and make the tackle, completely avoided it. That is the play. It's not just that he's bad in coverage because he's been exposed over and over again, and the only time he can cover anybody is if he holds them. But to me, the lack of effort on that play, which was a big play, is reason enough that it's time to move on. Find another corner. I mean, the Colts cut a couple of guys at the deadline that you're sitting here thinking, did they screw it up? Because Howard is not the guy. He's not the answer at corner. And so they've got to get rid. Somehow this roster has to make a quick change, and it's got to be Mitchell and it's got to be Howard. And the Colts will be better off finding somebody else to play those spots because right now it's not working for either one of them.
Yeah, just not quality enough to maintain a spot on the roster. Definitely felt like both Kenny Moore was missed as well as Alec Pierce today in today's loss. But no excuses. This is a game that the Colts could have and should have won out in LA.
The Colts should have won the football game, and that's the disappointment. And then the defense gets blown up, torched on that long touchdown. 88, was it 88 yards?
Just about, yeah.
After the penalty
yards
on the kickoff, then you
Yeah.
had the long play.
Yeah.
It's a game you feel like the Colts should have put in the win column. They should have improved to 4-0. They're not. They're 3-1, but it's a long season. And if you'd have told me before the season started we'd be 3-1 after 4 games, I'd take that in a second. But I'm disappointed that this is how the Colts got there because they should be 4-0. They should have won this football game. There's multiple reasons they should have and could have won. The defense, obviously, once the Colts got the lead, the defense allows 2 drives for touchdowns. The defense had been playing well. And all of a sudden, what changes? When the Colts get the lead, all of a sudden, everything changes. Is it a mindset? Is it schematics? Are they calling some type of different defensive plays? I don't know. But I will tell you, this is a problem that goes back to last year, which makes me wonder if it's a mindset with the players more than the scheme of what they're calling. Because a lot of this group's the same group as last year and had the same results last year. Colts score, take a lead, and that's when the defense seems to be its softest, is on the very ensuing possession. And that's what we saw today. What do you think about the Colts game? Let us know. You can leave a comment. We hope you are subscribing to the channel. You make sure to give us a thumbs up and like. If you're watching on Facebook or X, please share us with any of your social media connections. But we appreciate you hanging out with us here on the Sunday with a quick reaction to the Colts, the Fever, the Ryder Cup. We've got talk about IU football, Notre Dame football, high school football. It's all coming up. Dylan Sin from the Journal Gazette is going to join us here soon. And we've got, of course, Ryan.
He wants to know about
Ryan
my
wants to
lighting.
blame Ballard. It's like, well, Ballard didn't drop the ball inside the 2-yard line. And you don't have much light, Adam. You're sitting in the dark. We relied on you with the sunlight,
right,
when we were doing the 4:00 shows. Now,
here I'll see if I can get a little more going here.
They're complaining. They want to see your. Ryan wants to see that pretty face of yours. Always post immediately.
There we go.
Not sure what that comment is, but all right. So Colts 3-1, and disappointed it's not 4-0. But let's go look at the bright side. Let's talk optimism.
Woo!
Let's talk about something positive, because how about the Indiana Fever?
Fantastic.
I mean, unbelievable. They let one get away on Friday, and now you look back at the what ifs. They could have gotten that one. But today, again, this resilient bunch refuses to lose when their backs are against the wall. I'm not counting them out for Game 5, because I feel like now the pressure is on Vegas. And, they've got to start to be concerned that you cannot put away this Indiana Fever. I got to tell you a story. Last night, this reminds me of my story from last night. Okay, I wake up at 5:15 this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see real well. All I can see is there's some kind of really dark spot, a fairly big spot, up on my ceiling above the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I grab my glasses, I look. It is the world's largest centipede on my ceiling right above the bed.
Oh, no.
It might have been 8 inches long, Adam. I'm not going to exaggerate. I don't exaggerate. No, it was huge. And so I decide I'm going to go get that SOB, and I grab some tissue, and I climb up on the bed, and I get up there, and smack, I nail it, right?
Right.
I start to pull down the tissue, and the thing comes out and jumps down and lands right on the top of my head.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I'm going crazy, right?
Yeah.
And it's dark. So what happens? The thing goes somewhere, but now I don't know where.
Right.
I can't get back in the bed. I can't sleep. Yeah. So that's the Fever. The Fever are my giant centipede.
They just
you think you can go swat them and get rid of them, but no, they jump on your head. They're just annoying and disturbing. Then they put the pressure on you so you can't rest and relax. That's the way the Aces must feel right now. They've got to feel like the weight of the world is on their shoulders, or a centipede has landed on their head.
That is a great comparison. I like that. But no, you gotta think that they're a little bit frustrated, even thinking about, why are we even still going to a Game 5 with this against this ragtag team of misfits here in the Indiana Fever, and then now they also have the pressure to perform in a critical winner take all in front of their home fans in Las Vegas. So
yeah,
it's gonna be huge. So yeah, like, pressure's on them for sure, no question.
And I haven't checked, but I wonder what the ticket situation is.
Ooh, pricey. I'll just go with that.
Yeah, but did they have the tickets for sale before the end of this game?
Oh, that's the thing. They sometimes do that.
They knew they would play a home game one way or the other, because if they won today, they would have played a home game in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose today, they play a home game in Game 5. So they did know that they were going to play at least one more home game. So they may have had tickets available, just didn't know what the game was going to be. But
hey, do you want to go to Vegas? Because tickets are as low as $38 still on the resale market here.
Man, you know what we should have done? We should have bought a couple and then given them away tonight.
That would have been fun. But yeah, it's section. It's on the baseline, kind of far up, but tickets are still going for as low as about $40.
Arena. That's not a huge arena. That's
40.
I mean, that's the Michelob Ultra, what, a Michelob Ultra Arena or Michelob
Yeah.
Ultra Light
No, you
Arena?
yeah, no, you got it. Michelob Ultra Arena. But
Yeah.
I mean, even not center court, but the decent sections, the 100s are going for about 150 at the lowest. So you can get some good seats.
But here's what you can't figure out about the Indiana Fever. They win this game, and here's the crazy thing is Aaliyah Boston statistically looked like she had a big game. Yeah, she got to the foul line quite a bit. The officials called it fairly close. But she got to the foul line quite a bit, but she still shot under 50%. You know, Adam, I've talked about this since before the season started, that one of the keys for the Fever is that Aaliyah Boston has to be able to hit 60 or 65% of her field goals. She shoots everything from within 5 feet of the basket. She missed a couple of open layups. She missed a free throw that was at a key moment. And so I get frustrated, just very similar to my feelings about Miles Turner when he was a Pacer. It's like just too darn good to get rid of because you're afraid you're going to take a step back if you give away somebody that's got a decent amount of talent, but yet doesn't make the plays that are championship plays that you feel like that's somebody we could build around and have a championship team. Aaliyah Boston did nothing until Caitlin Clark got into town. And now, she still does a little bit here and there, and today she got, double, 20 and over 10 rebounds, 5 assists. She's a pretty good passer for a big. I don't want to make it sound like she's just garbage because she's not. But what I am saying is if I was the general manager or vice president of basketball operations for the Fever, I would have to really look at it and say, do we need to consider an upgrade for that spot? Not consistent, didn't come to play on Friday. Number one overall pick. She doesn't produce number one overall pick type of numbers. You think of the other number one picks in the last couple of years with Caitlin and with Paige Beckers. She's just not anywhere near that class. Does she fit with the style of play being more of a true post? But the other issue today was Lexi Hull. Started the season after the first dozen games of the season. She was the top 3-point shooter in the entire league. And now she cannot hit a boat jumping out of, or hit the water jumping out of a boat. She was terrible shooting threes, got some wide open threes. And, I refer to the threes that are the big moments in a game as daggers. And you've got to bury the daggers when you get the opportunity. And I thought the Fever in that fourth quarter had 2 or 3 Lexi Hull threes that would have been the dagger, that would have just brought the house down, would have totally taken all the air out of the balloon for the Las Vegas Aces, and she missed them. And they were wide open. I mean, these are not contested threes or challenge threes. These are open 3-point looks on kickouts or whatever it might be, or transition. And she missed. And that got frustrating. And so they didn't get the threes from Lexi Hull. They didn't, Aaliyah Boston, I hate to say they didn't get enough from her because she statistically had the numbers, but I felt like she could have been better and could have made some layups that would have been really big buckets. But they still find a way. Odyssey Sim stepped up, had a couple of huge plays defensively. They forced a couple of turnovers. They rebounded pretty well. Big win.
Yeah, no question. I'm going to be a lot less critical than you, Brett. I'm just going to be happy for the Fever that they got this win and sent this series to Game 5 because anything that you can accomplish is great. So I'm going to be Mr. Positive. You're going to be Mr. Negative on the Fever for today. But no, I can see where there's a couple plays where you would have liked them see them finish the play and get that momentum swing and just put things away and not have to rely on crazy things in the fourth quarter with extra timeout penalties and things like that. But yeah, I'll be less critical than you.
But the thing that's crazy
What's
is
up?
It's hard to explain how this team is getting done what it's getting done.
It is.
I mean, I'd love to be positive and love to point out
Everybody's great, achievements.
And I can't figure it out. I mean, it's not like they had somebody that just had a huge breakout game or somebody that drilled tons of threes. I mean, somehow they win these games, and they do it with this group. They do it collectively as a team effort. I can't, it's hard to explain. If you've got anything, by the way, you can leave a comment, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know if we see the Twitter or X comments, but I do know we see, I believe, the Facebook and the YouTube comments.
Definitely,
as they come in.
Like I said about the Fever, it's just the ragtag team of bandits, my man. They're just getting it done. They're like the Goonies,
Can you imagine if this team makes the finals? I mean, we thought before the season the finals were a possibility, but 2 weeks to go in the regular season, we thought tanking was maybe a better option. Remember that?
I do, and the thing is that it's the finals are completely open if they were to win this Game 5. In my opinion, I mean, there's injuries to the Lynx.
Leticia Collier is out of the game tonight.
Yeah,
we're going to be tipping off here in just about 5 minutes, so don't leave.
We got to hurry up with Dylan.
No, don't leave us if you're watching to go watch Minnesota and the Mercury. All right, let's go ahead and bring in our next guest because we want to talk some college football. And joining us from the Journal-Gazette, it is Dylan Sin. And Dylan, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
And we were talking a little bit of the Indianapolis Colts and the Indiana Fever, kind of mixed results today. Hey, have you watched any of the Fever this year? I know it's not one of your beats, but have you watched any of the Fever? Can you give me an answer as to how the hell is this team still alive?
Yeah, I've popped in on them every once in a while. I haven't watched as much as I probably should, but man, it's just been really fun to see them kind of come together and just duct tape and chewing gum figure this thing out. It's been a lot of fun to see them just get it done in the biggest moments against one of the best teams in the league here. And Game 5 in a semifinal series is about as big as it gets. This franchise that was way down just a couple of years ago is now among the best teams in the league, and it's cool to see.
Before we get into college football, I know one of the things that you have covered extensively and spent a lot of time down at Parkview Field. Garrett Hawkins was named as the Padres minor league pitcher of the year. What a great story for, a guy who was a starter, then got hurt, had to come back and earn a spot in the bullpen. Not only earned a spot, became the primary setup man, eventually became the primary closer, and ends up being the best from the pitching department in all of the Padres minor league system. Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when he took the mound on April 5th, it was his first appearance in a professional game in 702 days. And he came out, and after about it took him a couple of outings. He was a little bit rough to start off with. And then from April, late April onward, he was as good as we've ever seen in Fort Wayne. 34 innings, 26 appearances, 0 runs to end his tenure in Fort Wayne. He did not give up a run from April 27th until the end of July. It is the longest streak in Fort Wayne history, the longest in minor league baseball since at least 2005. He was outstanding. He was one of the best pitching performances we've ever seen from a tin cap. And from a guy who hadn't pitched in almost 2 years. Just really, really impressive and a good dude. As far as I could tell, guys in the clubhouse loved him, and he got the call to Double-A and just kept dealing there. So hoping to see him in the major leagues here pretty soon because what a journey he's had. He's earned it.
I'm not sure what game you were on yesterday. I don't think you traveled, but with both teams being on the road and being a pretty good distance away. But Indiana had a really odd situation late in the game. Curt Cignetti wanted to go to victory formation, but not take a knee until like 5 seconds had gone off the clock because he was trying to make sure to make 16 or 17 seconds, whatever it was, last all the way through 4 downs. And the officials kept blowing it dead. Now, I do know about the fake slide rule, and if you start to fake a slide, that they can blow it dead. But in this case, I didn't think he was like faking going down to a knee. I thought he was stepping back and waiting. Did the officials get it right? Is there a rule I don't know about? What do you know about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. What Kurt Signetti said was that the officials were giving him conflicting explanations. Like that was why he was so upset on the sideline, was that one official was telling him one thing and one official was telling him the other thing, and they didn't seem to be clear on the rule. It seemed like basically what was happening was they were ruling the play dead because he was kind of covering up. He would take 2 steps back from the line of scrimmage and he would cover up, kind of put the ball in his chest and just kind of stand there. And they determined that was, at least one official determined that was enough for him to be giving himself up like a slide. Now, and Signetti asked about it after first down, and he was kind of like, "Wait, that isn't what my impression of the rule was." And he seemed to be getting multiple explanations from the officials that kind of contradicted one another. So that's why it happened 3 times, because he wasn't getting an explanation satisfactory for him to say, "Hey, do something different." And so they ended up with this situation because Iowa had 3 timeouts. They ended up with the situation where they only ran off 13 of the 16 seconds. Now it's 4th down. You have 3 seconds left. You don't want to punt it to the best punt returner maybe in the country. And so you have this weird situation where you have Fernando Mendoza take the snap and just run backwards into the end zone, which, by the way, he should not have done. He should have run sideways out of bounds. You don't want to run backwards into the end zone, because if you trip and fall and you lose the ball, suddenly they take it and it's a tie game, right? Like you're inviting chaos. You just take about 10 steps back and then run out of bounds.
Yeah. Or take a left turn, like take a left turn and all you're doing is just running around to kill like 4 seconds.
Yes.
I think that's what they had to. Was it 4 or 5 seconds on that final play?
I think it was 3, honestly. I think they ran off 13 out of the 16.
He ran. It was like a Forrest Gump moment. He was like, got the ball and just turned and started running. It's like, somebody should have all yelled. The stadium should have all yelled, "Stop!"
Yeah, it was a very odd situation. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I've seen guys taking safeties at the end of games like that, but never from the 40. That was a new one for me. So I guess it's kind of like they had visions of the trouble with the snap game, Michigan State. It's a very similar situation back in the day, and I guess Indiana had visions of that in their mind. It's like, hey, just stay on the field, run away, don't let them get you, and we'll get out of here. But man, what a weird situation.
The other thing he could have done is taken like 3 or 4 steps back and just thrown it really high in the air out of bounds.
Yes.
Don't ground it. Don't ground it.
That's the thing, because you don't want to get
but have a guy run down the sideline and just sail it up over his head, and that would have burned the time before the ball would have officially gone out of bounds, incomplete.
Yes.
What'd you think about IU? Let's talk about the Hoosiers. First road test certainly did not look like the Illinois game in any way, shape, or form, but they got tested. They got tested in the 4th quarter, and they responded.
Yeah, I think there's positive and negative, right? I think the glass half full take that I am probably a little bit closer to is that their defense was awesome again. Their offense, despite missing D'Angelo Pons, by the way, I thought that was a pretty big deal that they were without him. They were awesome again, 21% success rate for Iowa. And then the offense was good enough. I thought Fernando Mendoza was under heat a lot. I thought the offensive line was not nearly as good at pass blocking as it had been in the first couple of games, but Mendoza made some really good throws under pressure. The ball up the seam to Elijah Surratt that set up the tying field goal early in the 4th quarter when he was in the middle of getting hit. That's one of the better throws of the season for him. He's fantastic.
And that was not only a great throw to hit it right between the corner and the safety. There was a small window.
Yeah.
With the fact that he was on target while getting crushed with a guy right in his face.
Drilled. Absolutely. So that's the glass half full take, I think, is the offense was good enough. They made some plays and they had one more guy. Elijah Surratt was the one more guy for IU than Iowa's defense had. And then the defense was really good. That's the glass half full take. The glass half empty take, which again, I am on the full, but I will articulate the empty because I can see the case for it, is that it showed the limitations of this team, I think. And I think they're a little bit below the elite teams in the country again. This offensive line was once again unable to hold up in a high-level way against a really good defense. And Iowa's defense is not quite as good, I don't think, as some of the better ones that IU is going to see later in the season, like Oregon and Penn State. So I think that they're to me, the way I see IU right now is the pretty clear fourth best team in the Big Ten. I don't think they're as good as the top three, and I think they're probably pretty clear of everyone else. And I think that is not the worst place to be. It's going to be right on the fringe of playoff contention again, and they'll have at least a puncher's chance, if not a great chance, against Penn State and Oregon on the road, and we'll see what happens.
I was not thrilled with play calling in
Yeah.
the second half. I thought it was a little too much vanilla and maybe a little bit predictable. And that's the one thing you really don't expect from the Indiana offense, because that, to me, that's been one of their strengths, has been their offensive execution and how they disguise things they try to do. And in this case, I felt like first down was always a run. I don't think they trusted Mendoza as much as they could have. And Iowa, in my mind, Iowa was at least neutral at the line of scrimmage, if not winning the line of scrimmage. And so I thought, these are situations where you've got to figure out some type of even if it's almost that West Coast passing attack where it's just short, controlled throws 5 yards down the field. But I didn't feel like they called their best game.
No, I don't think so. I think obviously the 2 4th down calls where they were just kind of pretty vanilla runs right into the line. Obviously, part of that is Iowa just winning at the line of scrimmage on both of those plays pretty quickly. But I thought neither of them was an inspired play call and didn't really go against tendency in any way. So there wasn't anything tricky that prevented Iowa from getting upfield. And then, like you said, when Iowa was able to get heat on Mendoza, there was frequently not a hot route that was available. I thought like that Omar Cooper Jr. caught the touchdown early in the game and that we didn't see much of him as the game went on. I thought there were opportunities to get him the ball in space a little bit more that they didn't take. And some of that is Mendoza just missing some throws, but I think some of it too is just not really taking those opportunities because Surratt and Cooper especially were winning against their DBs. They were open. And from a combination of not having them be the first read or Mendoza not seeing them or the heat getting to him too quickly, they weren't taking advantage of those opportunities. So that's something that needs to be cleaned up going forward. The offensive line needs to be better, I think, is the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, and it's tough on the offensive line when you've got 5 or 6 and they're bringing 7 because Iowa was trusting the man-to-man coverage on those guys, and you cannot cover Cooper or Surratt man-to-man, and they were trusting that, and Indiana was running right into what Iowa was expecting. That's kind of the way I felt about it. All right, before the day started, what you were expecting and what actually happened, what game or team impressed you the most based on their final results? Indiana getting the road win at Iowa, Ohio State with what they did with Washington, or Oregon escaping with an overtime win against Penn State?
I think I would say Oregon. I think that to me, they proved they were a better team than Penn State. I know Penn State had the comeback at the end, and they definitely made it a game, and they had a chance to win. But I thought Oregon down in that game was a better team. And I came into that game thinking that Penn State was the best team in the country. They hadn't played like it this year. I came into the season thinking they were, and they'd won a couple of blowout games, and it hadn't really gone exactly as I had expected. But I still kind of had that opinion coming into this game. And Oregon just kind of physically dominated them for a fair amount of that game, at least especially on offense. And so I thought that Oregon really impressed me going into that environment with a first year starting quarterback. Dante Moore was everything you could have expected from him in that game in the most hostile environment, one of the most hostile environments in college football. I think Oregon is either the number 1 or number 2 team in college football right now, depending on how you feel about Ohio State. And that's surprising to me because they lost so much from last year's team. I thought they'd be good, but take a step back, and they did not. They are among the elite teams in the country again.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan, just jumping back to the Indiana game real quick, just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, the Hawkeyes were able to hold the Hoosiers to probably their most inefficient game of the season, no question about it, including Fernando Mendoza. How much of this inefficiency would you say was kind of like a one off thing tied to Iowa's specific defensive strengths versus something that other teams might be able to pick up on and something that could linger against other future matchups if it's not corrected by Signetti and the coaching staff?
Yeah, I guess the question to me is like, when you say future matchups, does that mean your average game, or does that mean the games against Penn State and Oregon, right? Because
The big games, yeah.
big games, right? Because I think that you're going to see some similar things against Penn State and Oregon, right? Like I don't know how correctable they are. I think Iowa was just for a lot of that game, they were just winning up front. Iowa on defense was beating IU's offensive line, sometimes even with four. And I thought that was a huge red flag to me in terms of IU's ability to move the ball against the very elite defenses in the country. Now, obviously, there are very elite defenses for a reason. Not many teams can move the ball against them. But what we saw against Illinois kind of gave me some hope that this offense would be better against the top teams in the country than last year's was. I think we're probably closer to last year's in terms of just you're going to dominate most of the teams on your schedule, and you're probably not going to be able to hold up front against Penn State and Oregon. I that's the way I came away from this game thinking, and I don't think that means IU can't win those games. I think they can. I think it would just take a couple of lucky bounces and a good performance from this defense, which, to be clear, is awesome. It is really, really good, and it's going to keep them in those games, I think. But you're going to need a couple of breaks in those games rather than being on par, which it looked like they might be after the Illinois game.
Different outcome if Gronowski plays the whole way?
That's a good question. I don't know. He was okay. He missed some throws that he probably should have made. I think it was coming down to the end regardless. They might get a field goal, and then IU might have to score on that final possession to either tie it with a field goal or take the lead. Maybe Iowa plays a different coverage, so who knows? I'm not inclined to give Iowa too much of a break for that, considering, again, IU was playing without his best defensive player or one of them. So I'm not inclined to give Iowa too much of a break for that.
Hey, I got to ask you this question. Ryan brings it up, our buddy Ryan Eaton, because they were making a lot of this on the broadcast last night that Drew Aller doesn't win against ranked opponents, that he's like 0-7 or something against ranked opponents. Is that more an indictment against Aller or against Franklin? Because Franklin's got the same tag, basically, right?
Well, the difference with Franklin's been able to beat teams ranked like 10 to 25 most of his tenure. It's just that the top 10 teams he's had trouble with. So maybe it's not. Sean Clifford beat some teams ranked 14th in the country. I'll tell you that. So maybe it is an Aller thing. I guess we'll have to see when IU goes to Happy Valley in a couple of weeks, assuming they're still ranked then, which I think they probably will be. I just was pretty unimpressed by Drew Aller last night. He made a couple of nice throws, but there is just nothing about him to me other than his size that really screams like this top of the table quarterback that we've been told that he is. I just don't see it. He's tough. I'll give him that. He made some runs in that game. He is not a runner, and he had some runs in that game where he just put his head down and said, "I'm too big, and you are not going to be able to tackle me before I get these 3 yards." I was impressed by that. The toughness is there. I just don't think he's a great quarterback.
I got to ask you before we talk about Notre Dame, because about the big shifts in some of the teams in their ranking positions, because I'm like, was this exposure week? Was this when a lot of the people in the AP poll actually got a chance to watch some other teams play because of buys or something? Did you see the big swings? I mean, teams, and I had it on here, and I got a text, so I flipped off it. Let's see. Alabama jumps up 7 spots. Georgia drops down 7 spots. I mean, I don't know how because you are still a voting member of the
That's
AP
right.
poll.
Yeah.
Did you have those kind of swings in your poll this week, and why?
I did not to nearly the same extent. I think part of it, I will say, I struggled with my ballot this week because it's hard, right? Like, Alabama lost to Florida State. They looked bad in that game. Florida State looked like the better team on pretty much every phase of that game. And then Alabama has reeled off 3 really impressive wins over the last couple of weeks here, and they look like Alabama again. Florida State, meanwhile, went out and lost on Friday to a Virginia team that I didn't think was particularly good. They had lost to an NC State team that I know is not particularly good. So I was confused about how to do the rankings a little bit this week. It's hard to know where to put Alabama when a team looks so different in a 4-week span from week 1 to week 5. It's really hard to know exactly what to do with them. I settled in. I think I had Alabama at 11 and Georgia at 12, and just kind of settled there. And we'll see how those teams kind of stack out the rest of the season. But I didn't move either of them too much. I would have moved both of them more had I would have moved Alabama significantly more had Florida State beaten Virginia, and then your only losses to a top 10 team, and you beaten Georgia and all that. But it kind of canceled out for me. Like Florida State looked like a less physical team than Virginia, and they bullied Alabama. So it was a weird situation for me.
Is Vanderbilt the closest to last year's Indiana right now? That it's kind of like, yeah, they're beating on teams they probably are capable of beating, but to me, they're one of the surprises. That is a high-scoring offense. They put up numbers each week, but their next 2 games over the next 3 weeks, they play Alabama and LSU. So is it wait and see what they do over the next 2 games to figure out what we think about Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent. Obviously the win over South Carolina is impressive. I know Sellers didn't play in that game for South Carolina, their quarterback, but I mean 31-7 against that team is still really impressive. So I'm not totally like writing them off as, hey, they're not any good. They haven't played anyone. We heard all that from IU. If you win your games and you win them convincingly, which they have, you're a pretty good team. And I just don't think they count as this year's IU because they went 7-6 last year and beat the number 1 team in the country. They're not sneaking up on anybody, right? Like this was, I think a big part of the IU thing was A, it was the first year under a new coach, and B, they had gone 3-9 the year before.
Yeah, well, Vanderbilt. Oh, if you take like the last decade or maybe
yes.
2 decades,
yes,
they've had a consistent cellar dweller type of
100%. Yes.
So
they are absolutely
a little bit of a bounce last year, but still, yes, the program itself is not one that's considered to be a contender in the SEC.
Absolutely not. They are the closest, and the fact that they are still not particularly close tells you how just wild IU's 2024 season was.
All right, we got to talk Notre Dame because they crushed Arkansas. Who'd we learn more about in this game? How bad Arkansas is, or is Notre Dame improving?
I think it's both. I think Notre Dame is certainly improving. I think, number one, they figured out a way to play defense that is not going to kill them. Marcus Freeman kind of articulated it at halftime, was like, hey, we know we are not perfect on defense, but the strategy is do not let them complete a pass over our heads. Just make them, if they're going to score a touchdown, and they might, just make them earn it 6 or 7 yards at a time down the field. That we can do that, and our offense is going to go down and score, and we'll feel pretty good. We'll hold up in the red zone every once in a while, and we'll take field goals, and our offense will score touchdowns. There have been so many Notre Dame teams over the last 15, 20, 25 years where the defense was awesome, and the offense just had to be good enough. And this year it's the opposite. This offense is one of the best in the country. It is fantastic. It is really, really good. And the defense just has to be good enough. And it was plenty good enough yesterday. The secondary, which had been much maligned, had 3 freshmen back there starting, including Fort Wayne's Tay Johnson, or 3 freshmen playing heavy snaps, I should say. Tay Johnson, Mark Zachary, Dallas Golden. They all played very well. That's the future right there. And so it was a big step forward for Notre Dame. I also thought that Arkansas just quit. At the end of that first half, that defense, it just didn't want to be out there. They were not flowing to the ball. They were not shedding blocks. They were not trying to chase down guys from behind. It was just over. You could tell. And they fired their coach today because of that. And like you could just tell that it was over. And so Notre Dame was impressive for the first quarter and a half when Arkansas was really trying to win. And then after that, it was like, well, this team is beaten and Notre Dame is just having some fun.
Thought this Notre Dame team might be as good as C.J. Carr can make them. And, of course, there was plenty of hype. But anytime you have a quarterback competition in the offseason, you wonder, do you really have the guy? Is he really that good if he's got to compete just to be the starter and make it on the field? He was pretty darn good Saturday.
Yeah, he's been pretty darn good for a couple of weeks now. He makes some throws. The thing is, he has not only is Carr been good, but he has three receivers in Greathouse, Malachi Fields, and Jaden Jordan Faison. Those are three really good receivers. It's the best receiving core Notre Dame has had in quite a while. And what CJ Carr does is he gives them a chance to go make plays. The combination of those two things is something that Notre Dame has not had in quite a while. It's the arm talent, the trust in the receivers, and the receiving talent to go make that happen. And it's creating the best passing offense Notre Dame has had here in a very long time. And so I've loved the poise that Carr has. He's been a leader of this team. He's come out and talked to the media after every game, even the first two losses. And he is just back there going through his reads very quickly and getting better every week. And I think he's really good. The statistics bear it out. They played 4 Power 4 teams, and he's second in the country in QBR. The numbers don't lie in that one. He's as good as advertised and probably better.
All right, so Notre Dame comes home for 3 straight games: Boise State, NC State, USC. Which one is the one that is most concerning if you're a Notre Dame fan?
Yeah, I think it's USC, not just because of the name brand and the rivalry, but because USC still has the athletes and the quarterback to punish Notre Dame down the field. The pass defense was better yesterday. It was not perfect, and I think USC has the talent on offense to really score against basically anyone, and especially Notre Dame. And so, yeah, the defense will probably continue to improve at least to some extent, and it'll be better by then. You would like to think. But I think if there's a team that on the rest of the schedule that can really make them hurt, even with in their improved state, USC is probably it. I love Jaden Mayava, their quarterback. I think he's great. Makai Lemon, their receiver, is really, really talented. So that could turn into a shootout and a really fun one. But I still think Notre Dame is probably the better team overall.
All right, last question for you, Dylan. We got to talk a little college basketball because the season's going to be upon us. The practices have officially started, and it's only a couple of weeks away from seeing some of these exhibitions take shape. I think you've had a chance to get to West Lafayette, right?
Yes, on Tuesday.
All right. Is Purdue the best team in the country?
Boy, I wouldn't be surprised. They are really, really, really good, and they are good in such a way that it's going to make Matt Painter's job really difficult because they have so many dudes that probably deserve minutes that could play. I think they have 6 or 7 guys that could start in their backcourt. They're basically what happened is they went to the Sweet 16 last year. They lost Caleb First, who was a good player for them, and they brought in basically 5 guys that could start on most Big Ten teams in their freshman and transfer classes. It's really, really impressive. Jack Benter is a name you're going to hear, redshirt freshman. He is good. He can shoot the heck out of the ball. Liam Murphy, kind of a forgotten man in that transfer class from North Florida, shoots the heck out of the ball, and he's 6'8". Omar Mayer is really good. He is as good as advertised. Anton West, their freshman this year, he could play for a lot of teams in the Big Ten right now. He's a dead-eye shooter, really athletic. He's built for a freshman. I don't frankly see a weakness other than it's going to be tough for Painter to get everyone minutes and keep everyone happy. That's the only thing that's going to slow this team down is if there are guys who end up being disgruntled because they're playing 10 minutes a game when they should be playing 30. But this team's culture is such that they haven't had that problem in a long time, and so that would be something that the only thing to be concerned about, but I'm not really concerned about it, frankly.
What about at the 5 position? The freshman from last year that got hurt,
Daniel Jacobson, yeah.
Jacobson, is he back? Is he healthy? What expectations for him?
Yeah, so he is healthy. He has been practicing with the team. He was healthy actually by March of last year. They just wanted to redshirt him. And so it was. I think he looks good. He's going to be a shot blocker for them. He's going to be part of a platoon with Oscar Clough, the transfer from South Dakota State, who was one of the leading rebounders in the country last year. They bring different things. I think that's part of what makes this Purdue team so good is they're so versatile. They have an answer for basically everything. And so Jacobson is the long shot blocker. He's 7'3". He's going to protect the rim, clean up a lot of defensive mistakes. Clough is more like 6'11", is one of the best rebounders in the country, like I said, and actually can shoot the ball from the outside a little bit. If you want to do some pick and pop stuff, he can do that. He's not going to. Both of them can score a little bit around the rim, but it's not their primary game. So it's just really a matter of what you want out of your center. I expect both of them to play somewhere between 18 and 23 minutes a game, and go from there.
We got have we got a basketball media day for Big Ten?
Yes, it will be October 8th and 9th in Rosemont, Illinois. So I will be there, and I'm looking forward to it. But before that, I'll be in Bloomington on Tuesday when IU is having open practice and kind of its own media day. So
So
looking
we
forward to
will
that.
be able to follow that along with the Journal Gazette
That's
and
right.
get your take on what's happening down in Bloomington as well as Purdue. So yeah, that'll be fun. Appreciate the time as always, Dylan. Have a great night and look forward to talking to you. I know now we've got the double going on where football's not done, basketball's starting, so you'll be running all over covering a lot of college sports.
That's right. October, November, December. Those are the 3 really, really busy months for me. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Go ahead and sign the lease at the Sleep Inn in West Lafayette or whatever it is. All right. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Absolutely, Fred. Thanks for having me on. As always, thanks, Adam. Really appreciate you guys.
Yep. Appreciate it.
See you
That's
later, Dylan.
Sin joining us here on the Sports Rush Special Live Edition. Dylan is one of the real workers covering college football, Notre Dame, Purdue, IU, college basketball at Purdue and Bloomington, and covers the Dons.
Yeah. So he's always busy. I was going to throw him maybe a curveball at the end because I wanted to get his thoughts on Illinois coming to Purdue in West Lafayette this Saturday because I'm going to be at that game, and I just wanted to get his thoughts on whether it's just going to be an absolute blowout or whether or not Purdue can maybe score a touchdown or two and make it a little interesting. But
I think Purdue can score.
Mm-hmm.
I just
don't
think
know. They're going to let Illinois score a lot more.
Yeah, I think Illinois is going to score more.
Yeah, but we'll have a good time out there at West Lafayette, Rossade with the family.
That'll be fun. Yeah,
it'll be nice. It'll be nice.
That's Saturday.
That is this coming Saturday. Yep.
I've got plans.
No, yeah, you can't make it.
Got my daughter's wedding.
Yep. Congratulations again to your daughter. And I know now our Friday night football plans with John Nolan. I don't know, man. The Fever keep winning here. What are we going to do?
I know. He could have made it easy. And, they could have lost today. So we know that John's available for Friday night. But now we got to wait till Tuesday at like 9 p.m. when they play Game 5.
Yep. Winner take all.
All right. We got to talk Ryder Cup, man. That was drama today. Well, all I did was turn on the Ryder Cup to fill a little time before the Fever game.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need to watch an early football game. It was the Texans and Tennessee. Don't really need to watch it.
That was bad.
Yeah, and so Tennessee is really bad right now. But anyway,
yeah.
So I turned on the Ryder Cup. I mean, it was a blowout.
That's what they were saying this morning. I was talking to a couple some high level finance guys, and they're into golf, so they were talking about the Ryder Cup. But they said that it was a blowout.
And I wasn't so unexpected because I mean you look at the lineups for the European team and the USA team, and it's like, okay, in my mind, 10 of the top 12 golfers right now in the world were playing for Europe. I don't know what the official number was, but I'm like, Scotty Scheffler is one of the better, top golfers, but he was playing horrible. He wasn't doing anything for the U.S. And so you take the best U.S. golfer, he's playing bad. You take 10 of the top 12 that are on Europe's team anyway. It just seemed to me like the USA was a huge underdog, and then they're in a hole. It's like 12.5 to 3.5 or something like that going into play today. Well, then before it even starts, we find out Victor Hovland has some type of an injury. His neck was stiff. And so Victor Hovland withdraws, and the rules of the Ryder Cup is both teams get a half point. Well, that helped the European team a lot because they were so close to wrapping it up. It took the pressure off everybody. Well, I don't know if maybe they thought, well, we got it in the bag now, because all of a sudden the USA had a rally. And for a moment, early on, like after the first 4 or 5 holes, the board was favoring Europe. And then all of a sudden, and Bryson DeChambeau, got to give him credit because he was down 5 holes, 7 holes in. He was down by 5. And all of a sudden, he, at about the turn, he starts getting going. And of course, with those big drives and then hitting some big putts and winning a few holes, he gets fired up. The crowd gets energized. All of a sudden, everybody else starts making some plays. And the next thing you know, the USA is not out of this. But I will tell you that half point that they got with the injury, because I'm like, really, he withdrew. We should have gotten the point for that matchup because he withdrew.
I don't know.
But that half point actually played big down the stretch. And USA made it interesting. It was a lot of drama. So I had the Ryder Cup going on. I had, and Ben Griffin hit a couple of monster putts. But I had the Ryder Cup going on. I had the Fever going on. Then the Colts started, and I was trying to keep track of 3 things at once. It was crazy there for about an hour or so. But a lot of drama at the Ryder Cup. A lot of excitement seeing the Fever be able to hold on late against the Aces. And then when I only had one option, I had to sit through the Colts blowing a fourth quarter lead.
Yeah, that hurt. Big mistakes. Like we talked about earlier, was one that they definitely could have won and been 4-0. But 3-1.
High school football Friday night, we had a chance to see Homestead just destroy Snyder. And, of course, I did a little video yesterday and talked about it. But Snyder just seems to be a little disarray right now. And I don't know if they've lost focus, but that was not a team that was focused, ready, and energized, wanting to play that football game on Friday night. And they got destroyed by Homestead. But you now have 4 of the 5 teams in the A division of the Summit Athletic Conference that all have 3-1 records in conference play. And now you get a little bit of a round robin to see who survives it. And it starts this week because we have got the Homestead Spartans visiting the Carroll Chargers. Not only is it a rivalry, but it's also to stay up on the top rung of the Summit Athletic Conference. So should be a fun one. I know you will be there. I will not, but hope everybody tunes in and enjoys our coverage coming up Friday night, no matter who is talking about what's happening on the field. It might be Griff just calling the game and providing his own color. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. But you said it. That's going to be a fantastic matchup between the Chargers and the Spartans on rivalry night. One team's going to come out 4-1, and the other one's going to be 3-2, and jockeying for those middle spots there in the A division of the SAC. Another good matchup on Friday. 2 and 3 and 1 teams, but in the A and the B division, as it's the battle of the bishops between Dwenger and Lures. We talked a little bit about that one on Friday night too.
Yeah, the Bishop Lures has all the sophomores at wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and the question is that offense now at a pick? Because remember, they started the season, they could not score.
Yeah.
Now they're starting to get some confidence. They're getting some experience. Things are probably slowing down a little bit for them. They start to understand what the coach is explaining a little bit more because they're seeing it on film. And they're becoming better offensively. The question is, can that offense continue the progression against a defense as good as Bishop Dwenger? And that's where you've got to give tons of credit to Northrop, who had that comeback win against what I think is the best defense in the area. That's a huge win for the Bruins to keep pace because they're the other team that has the 3-1. You've got Dwenger, Carroll, Homestead, and Northrop all at 3-1. And so it's and this week it's Northrop Snyder, the rivalry. I tell you, how long has it been since Northrop's beaten Snyder? It's been since like the first Bush was president or something.
No, it's been a long time. Snyder has owned this matchup, but I mean, you have to go into this Friday night thinking that it should be Northrop's game to win.
Could very well be. I almost feel like Northrop goes in as the favorite.
You have to feel that way, especially after last week. I mean, they get that close win 21-18, and Snyder gets completely blown out 38-0. So I know it's a rivalry week. I know they'll be, the Panthers will probably be fired up to play the Bruins, but I don't know if that's going to be enough.
All right, so got to ask everyone to please subscribe. If you have not done so, please become a subscriber of this channel and make sure you click the bell, because that's how you get the little alerts that tell you when we have something going on this channel. And we post periodically. We have our weekend live show, which Adam generally is going to be on that side of the screen. I'll stay to my side. We'll both stay in our lane. But we'll have special guests, and we'll try to do it next Sunday. I know it's going to be kind of a crazy week. I'm going to have family coming into town, and we're going to be in Indianapolis for the wedding, and I got to get them back to the airport on Sunday. So
yeah, TBD.
It will be TBD. But remember, you can always keep up with when we'll be going live by following me on Twitter at Brett Rump Sports. All right, my man. That wraps it. All right, man. Well, certainly appreciate you, Adam, and we'll wrap things up. But once again, don't forget to be a subscriber. We want you as a subscriber on this channel. And coming up Tuesday night, Fever got a chance to advance to the WNBA Finals. They'll be taking on the Las Vegas Aces live in Las Vegas. I don't know what the TV is. I imagine that's going to be an ESPN broadcast. But remember, John Nolan, our buddy, that longtime voice of the Tin Caps and TV broadcaster for the Mastodons, he is going to be making that trip out to Vegas and provides the radio coverage, which you can find online. So if you don't have a chance to watch it, you can always listen to him. Also this week, chance to meet the Mastodons. There's a special event coming up on Thursday. It will be at the Fairfield coming up on Thursday night. And you can get details by going to the Mastodons website at gomastodons.com. And then once again, our high school football game of the week coming up next Friday, the Homestead Spartans at the Carroll Chargers. That will do it for us. Thanks so much for so many of you joining us for this Sunday night edition of the Sports Rush, our live show. We certainly appreciate you. Hope you have a great week, and we hope you stop back and visit us on the channel, watch some of our other videos, or, of course, click the Shorts tab if you want to get some of the hot topics of the day. I am Brett Rump for Adam Lundy. A big thanks to Dylan Sin, our guest. This has been the Sports Rush right here on YouTube and Facebook.